Hello everybody at Speedgaming 2. This is your boy LV Creed here, doing a little bit of solo work this day as we get to our round 2 match in our Mega Man 2 Randomizer tournament for this 2024 year for Speedgaming Live. Right now we got satokoaddict96 and Sinister-Sama ready to duke it out for one more round to try to see if we can get one of them moving on to the next round, while the other one is going to be sent below, where things could be a little rough as a lot of worthy competitors are going to be down trying to rise from the ashes to get back up to losers finals and eventually to grand finals. So for those that haven't been keeping up, satokoaddict is relatively new to the randomizer, but definitely not new to Mega Man 2. One of the foremost Mega Man 2 80% runners, Satoko, when facing Casual Time last time, pretty much put on a clinic, as Satoko, as the randomizer was very favorable, was able to do a lot of the 80% strats that they're very much familiar with. Meanwhile, looks like we got a little bit of desync on the screen here for our runners. We'll probably get that settled up as soon as possible. But for right now, we got Sinister-Sama going for Metal Man early, which is a very good starting point. But we won't have our items to do any potential zips down along the way. Meanwhile, satokoaddict is doing Woodman, and Woodman is looking pretty clustered right now. With a lot of molds, some hidden crushers, and some squirts down along the way. Of course, Satoko is gonna probably be farming for that ammo. Not looking pretty fine with the ammo drops right now. There we go. Hopefully he can survive this first little stretch. And there we go. Satoko finally getting out of that gauntlet that is the first set of screens on Woodman stage, while Sinister-Sama pretty much had a pretty solid go around for Metal Man stage. Nothing too hindering, but we'll see how that lasts as our runs continues. Satoko just with 2 pips of energy left, trying to survive these kitty cats. And there we go to the midpoint, so Satoko is at least safe to die and go straight back to the midpoint if need be, if things get a little rough. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama going through Metal Man stage. The stage is actually looking pretty kind. No mean enemies along the way. Blockies are one shot, which is a pretty nice find for any given runner. Sinister, at least on our screen, is the first one up to go to the Metal Man boss room, where we actually get a vanilla Metal Man. Not much of a spammer, very slow blades firing. Softly to the Buster as well. So this should be a very quick fight as Metal Man goes down his own stage. Meanwhile, we had the Joe pretty much getting their own treehouse, pretty much saying no Mega Mans allowed. Satoko getting a little brutalized, but it's managing to continue on, so we should be going to the Woodman boss room in relative short order unless the enemies get a little bit screwy. Sinister-Sama finds Crash Man stage a little early, but fortunately he does have item 1, getting it from Metal Man, but unfortunately it is a static item 1. So no zips unless you know some of those static item 1 tricks that can help you out. Meanwhile, Satoko's finding a Heat Man in Woodman's room. Hopefully we'll take him out before he starts torching the place and causing a little eco-terrorism. But he's also soft bustery, so this should be a fight that's done in relative short order as well. And down goes Heat Man in Woodman stage. Let's see if we get an item. No, there is no item in Woodman stage. And unfortunately, a bit of bad timing as he finds a Heat Man very early. So no items to try to benefit here, and we got Joe Max already. Oh boy, this is gonna be a rough one. Actually, it's rough for both our runners. We got lag experience in the moving platform rooms in Crash Man stage. Meanwhile, satokoaddict is dealing with the Joe Kano here in Heat Man stage. A lot of sniper jokes in their mechs. One of the more rougher configurations for enemy randomizations in this particular randomizer. Oh, is he gonna get out? There we go. Fortunately, thanks to some of our quality of life additions, we do have weapon ammo fill up a little faster, because for those that know they're familiar with Mega Man 2, normally the health would still linger on and allow iframes to continue on. So with the short time the health refills, Satoko is able to get it and get it out safely. Sinister-Sama is starting to do the crash climb. Has enough item 1 to get up as soon as possible and get the E-tank and not have any issues. However, Satoko finds a very beneficial find. Buster is a weakness for the crash walls, so now we have something for the boobies. A little bit of information right there. Satoko being forced to do the Yoku blocks, not having item 2. If item 2 is in this stage, then Sinister-Sama will be forced to take the Yoku similar to Satoko, but for right now, we do not know that quite yet. So on our screen here, Sinister-Sama finished with the verticality of Crashman stage, about to find out who our boss is in his room. Meanwhile, we're about to find out who's on Heatman's side as well. We find ourselves a very interesting looking airman in Crash, while we got a very ghostly looking bubble, which is a hugger. We got a hugger bubble in Crashman stage, but look like it's a very, very Buster Soft Weak bubbles done very quickly, and we do have an item. With item 3 being stuck in Heatman stage and item 1 being stagnant, there were pretty much going to be little to no zipping in Heatman stage, which Sinister-Sama has found. But fortunately, Sinister-Sama has found probably the 2 best possible items, with item 3 being locked in heat. But he's still got to deal with the Jokano and hopefully try to survive that, because right now he's just getting torn asunder. Fortunately, he got that health drop to survive. Meanwhile, Satoko, not having any items, does go for the Buster, only zip, and does manage to successfully navigate it. So with the Death Warp, we ignore all the lag failures that Sinister-Sama had to go through, and winds up going straight to the checkpoint. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama going to the Jokano now is going to deal with the hot air with our Fan Fiends, whose sprite is looking more like the sprites from the enemies in Mega Man 6, primarily Yamato Man. You're gonna have to deal with that. But Sinister-Sama having a little bit of issue trying to get on the first set of Yokus. Satoko with item 3 in hand, probably gonna do the item 3 climb. Get a little bit beat up by the springs. The springies have a little bit of an extended hitbox, so getting on top of the ladder can be a little bit of a chore. Fortunately, was able to deal with that and gonna be moving on, doing the rest of the crash climb. Kind of forgetting that it had item 3. Not using item 3 to make the crash climb a little faster. Not sure what's going on with Satoko's end, but probably may have forgotten, or probably just wanted to just do the crash climb normally. Whatever the situation, the crash climb was pretty much no better than Sinister-Sama's for the most part. As Sinister-Sama item 2's completely over the Yoku blocks, giving that time advantage on his side. Satoko barely surviving Airman. Sinister-Sama is about to deal with that very huggable ghost that is Bubble Man. And gonna see how Satoko deals with that. Sinister-Sama takes care of Bubble. About to get all the items set up. And now, for right now, we still have a bit of a match. Time lag aside, streamer lag aside. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama is going to familiar territory. We seen Woodman already on Satoko's end, seeing the very rough start. We're gonna see how Sinister-Sama deals with that. But meanwhile, we got some new information for Satoko as we get our first glimpse of Bubble Man. And Bubble Man, right now, not too bad. Was able to I believe he was able to use item 1, had a little bit of a moment doing some bouncing on the side here. But regardless of the matter, able to use item 2, able to get the bubble zip, is able to just move on accordingly. About to see who's going to be in Bubble Man's boss room, as Sinister-Sama still needs to go through the rest of Woodman's stage to eventually face our Heat Man. Sinister-Sama trying to use weapons. We're gonna see if the air shooter's doing some one-shotting. No, it's not, but it's still doing. It's 2 shots, so that's good enough. Satoko again by the rest of Bubble Man stage. We're about to find ourselves a Crash Man. Gonna check. Oh, we found the. This is a good sign. There we go. For those that aren't in the know, Time Stopper is weak to one and only one Robot Master. Satoko was able to find it in Crash. That's some very useful knowledge that can be used for the refights, especially since Crash Man is not South Buster weak. Meanwhile, at the top of the Treehouse of Joe, where once again no Mega Mans are allowed in Club Joe, Sinister-Sama trying to barrel through. Well, now no Mega Man's here. We got Breakman. Our Sinister-Sama's in. Gotta keep our naming conventions intact for our sprites used. But Sinister-Sama is not in a good way here. He's gonna use the E-Tank. Very wise. So Satoko's gonna be going through Metal Man stage, where item 1 should be lying in wait. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama once again having item 2 available at the start. Ooh, gets plastered by a literal Metroid, making that item 2 fly pretty much null and void. Sinister-Sama's about to fight off Heat Man. Satoko's using that bullet bill looking item 2 to try to bypass the rest of this stage. It should be going through the rest of our merry little way. There's our Vanilla Metal Man. Our Vanilla Metal Man was South Buster weak, so Satoko should have very little problems Buster dueling this fight for that particular damage race. And there's that. And finally gets the item 1. But of course, as we all know, the item 1 is a very static item 1. We saw that our Sinister-Sama's in. So fortunately, Satoko's means of zipping is very, very limited. Meanwhile, we got 2 of our what would be early stages if the stage select had our Robot Master names available, and we found them pretty late. So we got a Flash Man and a Quick Man. Normally these 2 would be first because these would have they have available E-Tanks, not necessarily easy to get E-Tanks. As you saw on Satoko's in. Meanwhile, Sinister is going through the rest of Flash. Once again, we do know that Buster are the wall weaknesses, so if we can have a pretty much safe upper route, not only can get an E-Tank, but she'll be able to take down the wall and go straight into the boss room here. But ooh, slips off. But then again, we also have Fan Fiend, so jumping up here would be relatively tough. Satoko taking this Force Beast section pretty safe here using the Time Stopper. It's the full drainer this time around. So I was able to utilize most of it to make sure that the Force Beam drop was safe. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama using that item 1 to try to get that E-Tank that's above. Had a little bit of trouble, but was able to get it. Meanwhile, we got a Quick Man sighting in Flash Man's room, trying to find a weakness. Unfortunately, nothing doing right now as far as weaknesses go. Oh, looks like Flashman and Quick Man decided to trade spaces, as Flashman is found in Quick Man's room. Sinister-Sama struggling a little bit with this Quick Man. Meanwhile, Satoko's taking care of Flash and Quick. a little bit faster than Sinister-Sama as he tried to use this metal blade to his trying to use it to his benefit, but very agile this quick man. Alright, both our runners pretty much running step for step here. As you can see, our timers here, in spite of the stream delay, it's actually satokoaddict that may have the advantage as far as time goes between our runners. But right now, once again, welcome everyone, Speedgaming 2. This is your boy LV Creed here, doing some pretty much one-man showing here for this particular match of the Mega Man 2 Randomizer for the second round match between satokoaddict96 and Sinister-Sama. Both of these runners are pretty much performing very admirably. Right now, the only difference right now may be a bit of a skill gap between satokoaddict and Sinister-Sama, but we still got a ways to go, and the Randomizer, as it has shown, can even make the most skillful of runners beg for mercy. But Sinister-Sama, going through the rest of Airman stage, I don't think he used item 2 at all. Otherwise, satokoaddict pretty much might be extending the lead, trying to utilize that item 2 very skillfully, navigating over the Vader batons along the way. Meanwhile, we got Woodman, who's pretty much some of his, well, I was gonna say his inner Donkey Kong, but we do have a literal Donkey Kong sprite for Woodman. But regardless of the matter, we got some wood-on-wood violence. Leaf Shield being the primary weakness for Woodman here, as Sinister-Sama tries to bust her duel but got too close. Winds up taking the full Woodman damage rather than the Leaf Shield damage. It winds up taking a very costly death and winds up having to do the fight all over again with one hit remaining. Satoko going through Flashman stage. Should be a relatively straightforward stage. Nothing should prevent Satoko from going through this stage. Maybe get beat up along the way, but no real big hindrances. Even these fan fiends should be relative. Still pose no issue. The only issue the fan fiends would have in Flashman stage is really getting the E-Tank, and I'm not sure if Satoko's gonna go for the E-Tank. It's probably gonna go for speed rather than safety. We'll see in a few moments as we're in the screens right now where these. Oh, well, right now he's got knocked down by our crabs, and look like it does opt to forgo that E-Tank as a result. So we're gonna see how Satoko deals with Quickman, while Sinister-Sama tries for this pause buffer Buster Zip. It's gonna right now. Satoko isn't opting to find any weakness hunting for a fight like Quickman in a jacket room like this. I think finding a weakness may be to his benefit, especially if he's losing the damage race. Is he gonna take the E-Tank? There we go. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama, after successfully doing the Buster Zip, is trying to finish out Bubble Man stage. And Satoko, oh, Sinister-Sama, as we get our Oats Man, Quicker Oats, making the signing, Dr. Oats, trying to make sure you get that fiber, but that fiber has probably been polluted, been contaminated. Mega Man must stop the Oats Man from contaminating our oatmeal. We need our apple cinnamon. Jokes aside, as we finally have our first runner into the Wally stages, it's that time of the game where, once again, we do have ourselves a dragon we'd like for you to guess. We got a color, we got a weakness, and we got a design that we would like for you to guess. For designs, for those that aren't familiar with the dragon sprites, of course, we got our vanilla dragon, we got our dragon corn, you know, our dragon with a unicorn corn, a dragon with two types of shades, one that feels like 80 shades and one that feels like anime shades. I hear Gurren Lagann, some say Squirrel, Squad Shades, whatever floats your boat. We also have our Oats Dragon and our Swag Dragon, pure swag. Sinister-Sama finding out Crash is weak to Flash. Once again, getting that information armed and ready for refights. But yeah, as for me, as always, I like to choose my usual colors. Monochrome gray, a shades of grays, whites, and potentially blacks. And we're gonna have ourselves an Oats Dragon. What do we need to be in bubble? Sinister-Sama is still pretty much a full stage behind. Sinister-Sama isn't doing too badly. It's just that Satoko, being such of a veteran Mega Man 2 runner, oh, that is gold. I'm gonna call that as gold. This is pure blinging on the Swag Dragon. But anyway, it's not metal. It ain't Buster. We gotta charge the heat. It's not supercharged, but it's not a weakness. Air shooter? Nope, it's not air. Go for the leaf shield. Do pause count and make sure it's on. Oh, Sinister-Sama again, force beamed. And bubble looks like it is one of our weaknesses. It has good height, but the angle is terrible. Satoko's trying to fight from below, but it's just having a hard time getting a good setup. It may look like our other weakness is Crash, because I'm pretty sure Satoko has not tried Crash on the Dragon, so I'm pretty sure that our weaknesses is our Bubble and Crash. Sinister-Sama having to redo the force beam section and the entirety of the checkpoint, getting caught by the force beams, unfortunately. Finding themselves a little further behind Satoko, as Satoko is pretty much well on their way through Wally Stage 2. Sinister-Sama just got to deal with a Flash Man, and he'll finally be in the Wally stages proper. Just a little bit. There we go. Sinister-Sama now has finally made their way through into the Wily stages, but at this point, you pretty much begging for a Satoko disaster in order for Sinister-Sama to come back from this one. So as Satoko begins just a little. Oh, Satoko with the suicide drop, showing Sinister-Sama no mercy. Literally going for everything. As we get Vanilla Picos. But we still gotta find weaknesses. And he ain't doing it. We found Air Shooter, but Air Shooter looks like 1-to-1. Is Satoko gonna stick with it? You don't want to dig for weaknesses too much. Oh, and Little Lemmy got us as a one-hitter quitter in Leaf Shield. One of our god weaknesses. Anything that one-shots Pico with relative low ammo consumption, you use those. Is Satoko in good position to avoid death? Indeed. Satoko takes down the Pico units and is going to Wally Stage 3, while Sinister-Sama still got a little bit of ways to go before reaching our Golden Swag Dragon. With music fitting for Wally 3, Satoko starting the stage proper. Hopefully the stage not gonna be too troll. Wally Stage 3, technically a very simple stage, but there are potential hazards that could make this a little annoying. And you saw it, but fortunately it was not the first enemy on screen. The Finnish Inquisition making their appearance in Wally Stage 3, but one enemy too early to kind of make light of Satoko's progress. Sinister-Sama making the climb. Opted to use the time stopper early to make sure that the climb is as safe as possible. Satoko just a screen away, about to go into our Gust Tank room. We're about to see what Gust Tank has in store. It's a vanilla looking Gust Tank. It's a vanilla looking weakness though. Well, we got Crash Bombs. It deals major damage. We don't know about the blast radius and the explosion duration, but it still hits hard. Satoko decides to mash it out, and we are out of here. Oh, but Sinister shows that the explosion duration is insanely good, using the duration to multi-hit the dragon for those last couple of hits, and moves on to Wily Stage 2. Meanwhile, Satoko trying to use those 80% skills to work, using Idol 3 to try to make sure the first screens of Wily Stage 4 be as safe as possible. Oh, gets faked out by the floors. For those that are familiar with the randomizations in Mega Man 2, the fake floors in these two screens, the prior one and this one, they are shuffled. The ones in this screen, they are not. But as you saw, the shuffling kind of tripped up Satoko and is not able to set up a proper vertical zip that you'll probably see otherwise. Meanwhile, our Zonda runes show that we have Metal Man looking rabbits. So we're going to see how Satoko is able to take care of these particular rooms, especially the third one. Very good use of item 2 wasn't in the walls for maximum distance. Up. Very clean jumps. Satoko is just a few screens away before getting to our boobing fight. Once again, we know that the walls are weak to Buster, so we know that's one potential weakness out of the way for boobies, and you can check weapons proper afterwards. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama, we know that Leaf Shield and Air Shooter are weaknesses. There is a third weakness, and we find that it's Bubble. But fortunately, Sinister-Sama does find the good news, finds out that Leaf Shield is the champion for the Pico units, and should be moving on to Wily 3 as long as no disaster occurs. Meanwhile, Satoko doing a pretty lengthy dig, and I think that's Quick Boomerang. Quick Boomerang being the weakness for the boobing turrets. One bunch of shot away, one quick boomerang salvo away, and onward to Wily Stage 5. Our boss rusher waits, and what is gonna be our theme? Once again, Wily Stage 5. Any Final Fantasy IV fans out there? Because you're gonna be hearing that throughout the entirety of the boss rush. Very fitting music. We're gonna see if Satoko is able to survive. Satoko should have enough E-tanks to survive if things gets a little bit out of control. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama is starting Wily Stage 3. Probably gonna have to settle for a second place finish, as Satoko pretty much is not giving any kind of leeway to Sinister-Sama. Taking out this Heatman wannabe, our second robot master taken care of. Sinister-Sama going down the Spike Drive filled with if you want to be PG, tomato soup. If you want to be raw about it, pure bloody nonsense. Satoko widely using information learned prior. Finds what man knows that Leaf Shield is the weakness, so we had the wood-on-wood violence. Once again, using prior information again, realizing that Time Stopper is a weakness, but if but the time stopper drains far quicker than that of the enemy health, so want to swing to the buster to finish the job. Sinister-Sama using crash bombs to take out Gus Tank, starting Wily 4 proper. Takes out Huggles. Should be about 1 or 2 Robot Masters left between our runners. Look like Quick Boomerang is doing soft weakness damage, so a little bit of boomerang on boomerang violence. As Satoko takes care of our 8 Robos. Is the Walla Machine weak to... Well, right now he's sticking with second page. Not weak to second page weapons. I think not to take Buster. Also take the death to stop the fight from scratch. Fortunately, Satoko can very much afford that death. Got a very, very wide lead. Yes, often not to check Buster, but regardless of the matter, does find Air Shooter, and it's good for both phases. Satoko, our first runner to head towards Victory Road here. Very low on Air Shooter. We may see Satoko do a safety divergence for the weapon energy that is at the bottom of Wally 6 to make sure that everything is set. Nope, gonna go for it. Gonna hope that the alien is not weak to Air Shooter. Is it gonna go balls to the wall and get it going? Alright, 1 alien away. What's gonna be the weakness for our so-called alien? Oh, it is a vanilla alien this time around. A little bit of a color shading, but definitely vanilla. Gonna check first page first. Oh, a very quick find to the atomic fire. Full charge. Make sure not to fire it too early. And there we go. Satokoaddict finished with the official racetime.gg time of 31 minutes 23 seconds. Meanwhile, it seems like Sinister-Sama has seen the writing on the wall and decides to take the forfeit. A very valiant effort from Sinister-Sama, but a couple of costly deaths to put Sinister quite a ways behind. Otherwise, this was a relatively clean race. But once again, Satoko used those veteran skills and put them to task, keeping Sinister-Sama at bay, and we got a 1-0 advantage. But we still got at least one more race to go. And as we set that up, everyone sit back, hang tight. We get that set up in a moment. Until then, just have fun. See you in a bit. And welcome everybody, we are back. It's your boy LV Creed here, bringing you race 2 of our best of 3 in our round 2 matchup in our Mega Man 2 Randomizer tournament for this year of 2024 for SGL. We're hoping for a good matchup. Satoko taking game 1 in a pretty convincing fashion, but Sinister-Sama, undaunted, got to all in stage 4, had some errors, but was able to keep it close throughout the entirety of the time. It's just the slight skill difference between Satoko and Sinister-Sama showing up between our runners. But anything can happen. Once again, it's the randomizer. There are some cruel enemy sets that can be coming forth per seed, per day, per match. We just don't know. But for right now, the runners have been given a countdown, so we should be ready to go in a couple of seconds. Stream lag bearing between our two runners, of course. We do have race time to keep things in order. But on Sinister-Sama's side, we got Woodman going up in order. Decided to commit to Woodman. Meanwhile, Satoko finds a much easier, more favorable setup in Flash. So we're gonna see how things go between our runners as this new set of craziness ensues. Meanwhile, we got a lot of blockies. Blockies not being one-hitter quitters this time around, being mighty durable, very durable, more than 2 hits. As we got monkeys just littering the first screens of Flash at the current moment. Some very fierce looking frienders hogging up the screens for Woodman stage. Sinister needs to be very careful. It can only afford 1 hit from those projectiles. Otherwise, it's just gonna be right back to the start of the screen. It's gonna take the long way and try to do some very precarious jumps. This is gonna make the fight very slow. It's extremely safe, maybe too safe, wasting quite a bit of time. And Satoko has a very safe upper round, gets the E-Tank, and finds out everybody see who's our first boss. Oh, this looks a little familiar. Our Kangaroo Jack looking quick, taking residence once again in Flashman's room. Very short hopper. Not busts softly, but E-Tank in hand, still able to do the damage race. Takes out Quickman. It gets a very early item too. Things are already looking up for Satoko. As Sinister-Sama does survive the friender, it took a little bit of a long time, but looked like I think what happened, because I wasn't paying attention, especially with the full health, Sinister-Sama might have taken the intentional death so he can get a fresh leash on life for the second half, going through the treehouse and trying to get to the Woodman boss room as quickly as possible. Our Pyro bots, at least our actual Pyros, look like they're buster immune, but the gears aren't. Satoko going to Metal Man stage. Doesn't have item 1 to do any metal zipping, but does have item 2 to make the screens that we're seeing right now very swift if he opts to use it. Meanwhile, we got an Airman sighting. Not Butts is acceptable, but it's a 1 jumper, so he's very wide open. Oh, Satoko taking a very uncharacteristic death in the middle of Metal Man stage. Sinister-Sama is going to need them in order to get any kind of leverage on Satoko. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama goes to Bubble Man stage. Hopefully, Bubble Man stage will be a little more kinder than Woodman stage was. Satoko looking like it was kind of precarious jump trying to get to the ledge for the final screens of metal. Often use pause buffer to make sure that the landing sticks. About to see who's in Metal Man's boss room. And now we found ourselves the Heat Man. Buster Soft Week, so this fight does not become too much of a drag. Unfortunately, this Heat Man does abide by the 30, 60, 90 rules for the heat tackles. But Satoko's able to take care of the fight, get out of metal. Then we find another item. Not this time, but from beating Heat to going straight to Heat stage. At least in Satoko's side, he does have item 2, so he doesn't have to do the Yokus. Unfortunately, Sinister-Sama, in spite of doing the bubbles, no, it wasn't the bubbles up. Yeah, he must have messed up the bubbles up and taking some very unfortunate deaths trying to get through Bubble Man stage. These are not looking good on Sinister-Sama's end. Satoko, your iframes are not permanent. Yeah, remember, we're still doing vanilla Mega Man 2 rules with iframe length. Meanwhile, the Joe feels with the occasional Lacphibians kind of littering Heatman stage right now. Satoko's getting beaten up at Heatman stage. This Heatman's proving a little bit rough for Satoko right now. Once again, these look like finally, after 3 races, we finally got a situation where Satoko is getting completely walled by the randomization of the enemies. Just getting beaten up by these Joes. I didn't even check to see if they were Buster immune. Sinister-Sama with a little bit of a cleaner Bubble Man stage. Satoko with only 1 hit to spare, while he uses the E-Tape to survive this onslaught of Joe nonsense. It finally gets to relative safe ground. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama does find that we have atomic fire, but a shot man picks him off. Bubble Man stage continuing to give Sinister-Sama fits. Ooh. Sorry Satoko, but unlike Mega Man, our crabs do go through walls. Taking the damage, not being prepared for it, and taking the pitfall. Meanwhile, the Yoku block is trolling. Our runners just getting decimated by the shenanigans that the randomization of this seed just giving them, putting them through the ringer. Both of our runners are probably a little bit afraid where each other are in their respective stages right now with all these deaths. You can probably feel the panic in both our runners at this point. And it is relatively early in the seed. Satoko having Item 2 in hand, using it to bypass our Yokus, opted to not use the rest of it to make sure that it has enough to fly over, trying to use zipless straps originally to try to get out of the stage. Well, Satoko, beaten, battered, and bruised, finally gets to the Heat Man boss room, about to find out who's our boss, which is Woodman. We got those aborted logs here. Fortunately, the leaves are moving as slowly as the leaf shield. If the leaf shield was a faster, if the fallen leaves were faster, you would have multiple leaf shields flying through the screen, and that would have been trouble for Satoko. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama, equally beaten, finally gets through Bubble, which is on Satoko's screen, amazingly enough. We got a Crashman sighting. He's Buster Soft Week, so Sinister should take care of this particular damage race. if, for better or worse, Sinister-Sama does get out of bubble, finds his flash. So fortunately, he does get a little bit of reprieve. We do know that item 2 is here. So if Sinister-Sama does have a situation sinister to Satoko, at least it may have item 2 to balance things out, but we'll see. Satoko successfully doing the Buster style bubble zip. Unless he gets sniped by a shot man along the way. He should be coming to the Crash Man door very soon. So to go to our bubble boss room where Crash Man awaits. Sinister-Sama still a few screens away where Quick Man awaits. A little low in health, and as I suspected, does have at least one E-Tape to spare, decides to pop it in, takes care of Crash Man. We got 4 stages down. As we go to Crash, we're expecting Satoko to do the Buster style zip for Crash Man stage since he doesn't have item 1 in tow. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama does indeed find the quicks. Gonna see if Crash does damage. It looks like Crash does damage. Looks like it's a soft weakness. The explosion duration does look poor though. So if you're trying to look for quick kills, especially on the Gust Tank or the Mega Dragon, we will not have it. Satoko not going for the Buster style zip, getting plenty beat down though, and of course has no E-Takes to spare, and it can't take one hit from anything, like a ticket to the face perhaps, and does suffer a game over. Gotta restart Crash from the beginning. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama is going for it a little too far. Gotta space out those pauses a little more if you want to do the pause variant of the Buster Zip. Is it gonna go for it again? Doesn't look like it. Oh nope, he's going for it. This can give Sinister-Sama a little bit of a heads up if he managed to get this zip in a proper fashion this time. Meanwhile, Satoko does manage to get this zip. Only has 1 hit to their name though, but fortunately, well, let's see what happens. Able to successfully navigate the finality of the zip, navigating the rest of Crash Man's room. Now I'm gonna try to just utilize item 2 to make the climb as swift as possible. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama, probably dejected from the failed attempts of the Buster Zip, unfortunately gonna have to deal with these janky makers, trying to utilize item 2 as quickly as possible, but just getting overwhelmed by all the projectiles that are in the way. Yeah, can't take a body blow. Well, janky makers still making their presence known in the Crash climb. Trying to use item 2 to its maximum benefit. Luckily using the pause buffering to take care of the damage. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama, I can just imagine Sinister-Sama just not enjoying anything related to Crash right now. The janky makers being a very unfortunate force here. Trying to set up item 2 for a zip variant, it's much more beneficial for item 1 in this case to do that kind of zip. But yeah, this seed is just not being kind to our runners at all. as we find the Huggles in the Crashman fight. Not Buster Week, so the damage rate is gonna be a little bit sketch. Satoko does survive. And we find that item 1 is locked in here, so very unfortunate that the randomization decided to put that in Crashman stage. So Satoko, once again, a little worse for wear, goes to one-man stage. We saw that being our first stage for Sinister-Sama. Satoko utilizing item 2 as you would do with 80% on the initial screens of one-man stage. And Sinister-Sama once again just can't seem to find sees the health drop just a little too late. Oh, and we find that item 1 is good. Well, it's over. The seed decides to be kind of Satoko. But Satoko had a little bit of an issue with the initial item 1 setup for the Goodwood. But initiated it fine. And as we know, Satoko, being a very strong 80% runner, give him a good item 1 and you get this. Knows how to do the busted variant of the sprite height augmentation. And Goodwood achieved. So Satoko should be fighting our boss very shortly. It is Airman. It's the annoying Airman, but because it's a one tornado shooter, it's a little bit more vulnerable. So Satoko is able to take it out very quickly. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama, tired of that crash, finds a much more favorable stage in Metal, but is way far behind, unfortunately. And being real, it's gonna be very, very hard for Sinister-Sama to take on a situation like this with a very good runner like Satoko. But there's always a shred of hope. We can never count out a disaster. We never wish it on our runners, but we do gotta keep our reality in check. Sinister-Sama going through the final stretches of screens before dealing with our boss in Metal Man's room, which I believe was Heat Man, a very Buster Soft weak Heat Man. So this shouldn't be too much of an issue for Sinister. Meanwhile, Satoko is going through our fourth beam area. Should prove no problem. Trying to use Time Stopper, but it is a Flash Stopper variant, so it's a very short duration of time stop, but the energy duration is actually extremely good. A little bit of a panic pausing here. Sinister-Sama finds Heat Man, the stage that gave Satoko fits when Satoko was in here. And looks like for right now, it's gonna give Sinister an equal amount of fits with some very hefty health Joes, and Lag Fury is on the way. And once again, we got Flash and Quick. Once again, Flash and Quick doing the boss room shuffle, do some boss swap, but very soft, weak Flash. We find Auto 3. Satoko is pretty much just good to go with one Robot Master remaining, Airman stage remaining, and who's left? Your boy trying to remember who's our final robot master here, as Satoko unfortunately finds one of our worst potential enemy variants in Airman stage. But how many fan feeds are going to be displayed in this first portion? About Sinister's altitude check for wall weaknesses with a couple of weapons. Sinister finds out that he does not have a weapon for these walls for the time being. It looks like overall, even though we had fan fiends in air, it was a relative safe passage, but Satoko once again just getting beat down a little bit. Able to safely get to our checkpoint. Sinister, you doing Yoku's? Does Sinister remember that he got item 2 from Flashman stage? Probably a little flustered from how the season's been treating him right now. Cause I do not remember seeing Sinister using item 2 at all in this stage. Satoko navigating the rest of Airman stage. About to take care of our final robot master. Metal Man being it. A much more aggressive metal. But South Buster Week once again proves no problem for Satoko. Our first runner into our Wily stages. Well, first isn't even Wily. Nope. Dr. Bobo in the house. Bobo pretty much bullying Wily, kicked him out, taking the castle for himself. Dr. Bobo is in the building. And of course, you know what time it is. We got a dragon. You know the score. We got a color, we got a weakness, we got a design. Get to guessing. As always, I'm looking for a true blue dragon. So we're looking for a blue dragon with Buster weakness. As for a design, let's go with tend more with the 80 shades. So Satoko opted to hold off using the item 2. Gonna use item 1 to its benefit, knowing that item 1 is relatively decent. But of course, you still gotta set it up. I'll still forego the vertical zip for the first part of Wily Stage 1. Meanwhile, Sinister is just... I'm gonna be honest, I feel for Sinister. This seed was just one of the most unkind. And it was even unkind to Satoko especially for Heatman stage. Nothing really was in the favor for any of our runners this time around. But Satoko is just, right now, is just thriving. And I say that is a Gurlogging Shades Dragon, or a Squirtle Squad, as some would say. Whatever preference. Anyway, it's not Buster, but it's definitely Metal. Metal doing the job in short order. Finally getting out of Wily 1, getting to Wily 2. Sinister-Sama finally making some headway. Getting to the boss room of Heatman, where Woodman awaits. Gonna do the Buster duel. Just a few more shots, and there you go. Finally feeling like you're making some headway, despite what seemed to be a pretty brutal seed. Going to Airman stage, Sinister-Sama just hoping to find anything that would give him some kind of mental comfort, as Satoko just pretty much all but sealed the victory for this match at this point. You still got several stages to go. Anything could still happen. But this is definitely Satoko's race to lose right now. Satoko tried to go for the suicide drop yet again, failing it this time around. As we go to our Pico battle. Oh, we got Inviso Picos. So here we go. This is a variant you normally don't see. Does Satoko have the means to navigate this nonsense? We found Air Shooter. Air Shooter is a one-hitter, and it does 1 unit per shot. This is definitely the weakness. But yeah, Inviso Pico is definitely the hardest variant of the Pico sprites. But as long as you realize it's still Pico in all shape and form, all you gotta do is just know where to follow our Picos, and the Pico is not as bad as you think. You just gotta keep calm and know that they always try to follow you. If you need to take a damage trade in order to find out where your Pico is, sometimes you just gotta have to do so. Regardless of the matter, Satoko does prevail over Inviso Pico, while Sinister is taking on Metal Man, get through Airman stage. Finally making some progress, but still had 2 Robot Masters to go. Got to close out Metal Man on Sinister-Sama's side, fix that. Go into the very slimy waters of Wally Stage 3. About to go into our Gust Tank fight. About to see what that battle has in store. Once again, got another vanilla looking Gust Tank. Not Buster Week, so we gotta do our dig for weapons. Struggle a little bit with the Leaf Shield, and unfortunately finds that Leaf Shield is one of our weaknesses, but it's definitely looking pretty inefficient. I would definitely try to look for one more weakness. The Gust Tank has 2 weaknesses, assuming Buster is not available for a third, and finally decides to get off Leaf Shield and finds a much more favorable weakness in Bubbles, and finally moves off the Gust Tank and goes into Wally Stage 4. Wally Stage 4 looking a tad bit greenish this time around. As Satoko's getting energy, probably gonna be utilizing items to his utmost benefit. While Sinister once again sees our boss swap tandem with Flash and Quick. Finally escapes from there and gets item 3 for his trouble. Realizing the bad news that item 1 has been locked in crash the entire time. Satoko using item 3 to do the vertical zips. Good height to wedge himself to the ceiling for that little extra zip boost. So yeah, at this point it's just pretty much just 80% rules as far as Satoko's concerned. Just pretty much gotta do the strats proper and just keep on moving forward. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama just trying to find any means to get out of this hellhole that is Crash Man stage. Oh, and looking at the menu, Air Shooter is locked here as well. Air Shooter, capable of one-shotting the Chanky Makers. Crash is just holding off a lot of the goods that would make this stage easier. Satoko using those vanilla smarts, using item 2 to wall crash through, zipping into the boobing fight, but we still gotta find wall weaknesses. It not look like it's bubble. Is the second page? Well, we know boobies are weak to quick boomerang, so that's one thing out of the way. It looks like it's metal for our wall weakness the entire time. So Satoko should be done with the boobies in a few moments. Sinister, unfortunately, still having trouble with the Chanky Makers. The literal bane of Sinister's existence, this seed. And does Sinister have at least an E-Tank? He does have one. I suggest popping it in immediately, so he doesn't have to even worry about anything regarding with Chanky Makers on the next screen. As we got some Gradius 2 music for our refights. So 8 more bosses, our Wallet Machine, and an alien just standing in the way between Satoko and absolute victory. From honestly has been a rough sea for both our runners in one way, shape, or form. It's just unfortunate that Sinister just got the worst end of it compared to Satoko. Sinister about to start the crash climb. Satoko should be on our 4th Robot Master. But as Satoko finishes up, once again I want to remind everyone about the remainder of our Mega Man 2 Randomizer tournament action. Support our runners as they pretty much gone through the ringer to entertain you people. Yeah, I said it, you people. And your boy here, LV Creed, doing the one-man show, bringing the information and entertainment onto you for this race here. We do have one more coming up, but I'll give that information later. How many robot matches we have to go for Satoko? We got 2 more to go. Meanwhile, Sinister still seeing Chanky Makers. Probably gonna be seeing Chanky Makers in his sleep. How they've been just torturing him in this stage. One more robot match to go. Trying to find a weakness that penetrates through that shield. No time stopper this time. Oh, looks like Charge Heat is doing the business. But he's pretty much just paying the price for the charge. Barely able to survive. Sinister-Sama get more bad news that he finds the Huggles. Not a bunch of weak machines, so we're doing the weakness dive one more time. I'll still take the death to restart the fight. Sinister-Sama taking the death. Not pretty sure that one isn't intentional, but still gonna go through the motions. Oh, Metal Man being good for phase 1. Is it good for phase 2? Oh, Metal Man being the god weakness for this Wallet Machine. Sinister-Sama finally takes out all 8 robos. Finally gets to Wally's stage, but it's just so far away. And Satoko's on victory road. Looks like gonna go for the I don't want Wally's door crash, especially considering how bad Heatman went for Satoko. I'm not too surprised. He's finally feeling a little bit hurried. Alright, who is the Bobo gonna turn into? The Abomination. I'm just gonna call it the Abomination. This alien is an abomination, so I'm gonna call it as such. Anyway, second page weapon dig. It's not second page. It's not Buster. The weapon dig continues. It's charged heat one more time. I almost thought he misfires the heat. But regardless, doesn't matter. That is time for Satoko. Finishing with an official racetime.gg time of 34 minutes and 50 seconds. Meanwhile, Sinister-Sama, I am not surprised at all considering how silly this seed was. Sinister-Sama takes the forfeit. So Satoko wins this match 2-0, moving on to the next round. Finishing just completely battered. Hopefully we'll get an interview for our players. And yeah, we know we're gonna hear a lot of interesting words for that second seed. So just give me a moment. Assuming they haven't gotten the invite already, I'm gonna.